Hi, so this is the new dashboard module, but it is with the wrong touchscreen. I have fried the capacitive touchscreen. A new one is coming very soon. So on the front you can see a couple of colored buttons and a couple of black buttons. So these are content aware buttons, or they change their function based on the menu you're in. And these buttons have fixed functionality. If we look at the hardware, so this plate goes here and makes the enclosure watertight. So on here you have an STM32F7 processor, SD card slot, some DC-DC stuff, SD-ROM memory, and flash memory, and an FROM memory. It also has battery backed up, real-time clock, no battery, but and you also have the connection for the capacitive touchscreen and one bodge. All PCBs should have at least one bodge. Right, so now you just connected power and programming cable. So let's start it up. So when it starts up, it will check for an SD card. And if it finds an SD card, it will copy all of the content from the SD card to the external flash memory. Because I do not want to use the SD card while using the dashboard, because the SD card has it can break rather easily. And then it also loads all the graphics onto the RAM in order to increase decrease the access time. So now you can see the first page. There is a lot of glare. This won't be there when I have the correct plastic or glass piece in front of here that will be anti-reflective. Right, so you can see a couple of bars, just like the previous design, and speedometer. Also some numbers with amount of distance I have left to travel on the batteries, total amount of distance traveled, trip, and current power consumption. Also I have the date and time and stuff like that. So buttons here do things basically, and I can press the buttons and different thing happens. Oh, that looks... Oh, interesting bugs. Oh well. Right, so if I go into the menu system by pressing the top button here, I then either can touch, but not now because I have the wrong touchscreen mounted. I can either touch buttons, but I do not trust the touchscreen, especially not while it's raining. So I have buttons here, physical buttons, that I always can control all of the content on the screen with. So you never have to use the touchscreen, but you can if you want to. Right, so I can basically toggle between elements, and I can click an element. So let's go in to the current menu, for example. And now a slider is selected, so that means that I have different controls. I have up and down controls, and I can go through all the GUI elements on the screen. And if I select an element, it just has a click function. The button for click appears instead. Right. And I can do everything I could last time basically, but yeah, a couple of things has been upgraded. So let's go back. Also, when it started, you could see that it was loading. Let's see that again. Turn it off. Turn it off. It's loading in all the fonts, and then it's loading all of the images for the graphics, and then it's also loading the firmware onto the capacitive touch controller, but it's not mounted now because it's fried, so it's actually not doing anything. But for this capacitive touch controller you have to load the firmware for it. And I have tested it before and it works, but then I by mistake connected 24 volts to the wrong port and magic smoke appeared. I think that's all of the functionality currently of the board.